Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2026/273 please raise their hand. Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows. 11 votes in favor, 2 votes against, 2 abstentions. لقد أخفق المجلس في الاطلاع بمسؤوليته تجاه تصرف غير قانوني يتطلب وضوحا وحزما لا يحتملان التأجيل أو التردد. كنا نأمل أن يشكل مشروع القرار خطوة نحو حل دائم يضمن حرية الملاحة الدولية في مضيق هرمز.
The Strait of Hormuz is too vital to the world to be used as hostage, to be choked, to be weaponized by any one state. So, despite today's outcome, let me reiterate 2 simple messages from the United States. First, the U.S. stands firmly with our partners in the Middle East. Second, the Strait of Hormuz is too vital to the world to be used as hostage, to be choked, to be weaponized by any one state. Colleagues, let me be frank. Most member states here need the Strait of Hormuz more than the United States does. Still, as this Council knows, the U.S. has consistently pursued a diplomatic resolution even as we continue to achieve our objectives in Operation Epic Fury. We have put serious diplomatic proposals before Iran. The U.S. remains prepared for meaningful diplomacy, but diplomacy cannot succeed where defiance, delay, and escalation remain Tehran's only response. We are grateful to our mediating partners for their continued effort to secure a peaceful resolution, but Iran has to choose one.
The president has set a deadline for about 12 hours from now in the United States. We're going to find out, but there's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution.
The clock is ticking to tonight when the deadline looms for avoiding bombing infrastructure in Iran to the Stone Ages, as the president has said. Do you have any new information to believe that a deal can be reached by then? And secondly, there's been some rhetoric from this administration, your administration, about this war, God supporting the United States in this war and the strikes against Iran being part of God's will. Do you agree with that? And what do you make of the idea that God is on the side of the U.S. in these strikes?
Well, so you asked if there's new information, and I don't, unless I have a text message from Steve. Well, I do have a text message from Steve Witkoff. Wouldn't you like to know the subject of this message? But no, I need to read it first before I talk about it. But here's what time is it in the United States right now? Okay, that makes sense. All right. Okay, so Natalie, on this question of the deal, I really think there are 2 pathways. The president's been very clear about this. There are 2 pathways that this thing is ultimately going to end. First of all, the United States has largely accomplished its military objectives. There are still some things that we'd like to do, for example, on Iranian ability to manufacture weapons that we'd like to do a little bit more work on militarily. But fundamentally, the military objectives of the United States have been completed. So that means, as the president has said, very shortly this war is going to conclude. And I think the nature of the conclusion is ultimately up to the Iranians. I think there really are 2 pathways, and I'm oversimplifying this a little bit, But I think pathway one is where the Iranians decide they're going to be a normal country. They're not going to fund terrorism anymore. They're going to be part of the world system of commerce and exchange. And that's going to mean much better things for them economically. It's going to mean better things for the peace and safety of the world. It's going to mean a lot of good things for a lot of people all over the planet. That's option A. Okay. Option B is if the Iranians don't come to the table and they stay committed to terrorism, to terrorizing their neighbors, not just Israel, but of course their Arab neighbors too, then the economic situation in Iran is going to continue to be very, very bad, and frankly, it will probably get worse. And so what the president has asked his entire team to do, particularly Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, is to figure out what are the contours of a potential deal. What are they willing to do? Because militarily, it frankly doesn't matter one way or the other to us. It's fundamentally a question of what does this look like afterwards, and that has been what the negotiations have been focused on. And the president's also been very clear that while the Iranians are trying to exact as much economic cost through the Straits of Hormuz, the United States has the ability to extract much greater economic costs on Iran than Iran has on an ability to extract costs on us or on our friends in the world. So I hope that they're smart. The president has set a deadline for about 12 hours from now in the United States. We're going to find out, but there's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution. You know, the second question you asked about, is God on our side? Is God on, whose side? I think my attitude towards military conflict has always been to pray that we're on God's side. And my own view is that we're doing this for the right reasons. We're doing this because we don't want a regime that has committed acts of terrorism to have the world's most dangerous weapon, because that would mean a lot of innocent people dead. I certainly hope that God agrees with the decision that Iran shouldn't have a nuclear weapon, but I'll keep praying about it. And if he gives me a good answer, you'll be the first to know, Natalie.
前不久，中国同巴基斯坦共同提出5点倡议，体现了国际社会促和止战的普遍共识。武力换不来和平，政治解决才是出路。伊朗战事的根源在于美国和以色列违反国际法，对伊朗发动武力袭击。当务之急是立即停火止战。各位记者朋友，大家下午好，欢迎出席外交部例行记者会。战事爆发以来，中国始终秉持客观、公正、平衡的立场，推动停火止战。王毅外长先后同伊朗、以色列、俄罗斯、海湾国家等各方26次通话。中国政府中东问题特使赴地区穿梭斡旋。前不久，中国同巴基斯坦共同提出5点倡议，体现了国际社会促和止战的普遍共识。武力换不来和平，政治解决才是出路。伊朗战事的根源在于美国和以色列违反国际法，对伊朗发动武力袭击。当务之急是立即停火止战，回到对话谈判的轨道上来，从根本上解决问题，恢复海湾地区的和平稳定。各方都应当拿出诚意，尽早结束这场本不该发生的战争。伊朗战事延宕，造成重大人员伤亡和损失，冲击地区国家的安全稳定，影响世界经济和能源安全。中方对此深感关切和担忧。战事延宕，冲突升级，不符合任何一方的利益，各方都应当为缓和局势、推动和谈发挥建设性作用。伊朗局势和委内瑞拉问题的来龙去脉、是非曲直十分清楚，中方的立场也是明确的。伯恩斯无视问题根源，拿中国说事儿，用美方那套霸权思维歪曲抹黑中国的和平公正立场，恶意挑拨中国同有关国家关系，是别有用心。